because I think that's something that I really valued from working at companies that really value design. It's like the founders who were designers and really value design, like that was the best culture that I was in. So I want to, as a consumer product, design is like one of the most important things, and I want to honor that. And so, yeah, I think we
That's
need more designers, and yeah, making the future happen.
Hey, welcome to People Who Design. I'm Cam Kress, and I talk with designers, creatives, researchers about the art and practice and craft of design. This week, I talk with Belen Tenorio. She's awesome. She's a designer, really talented designer. She's worked at some amazing companies such as Work & Co. and Spotify and Pinterest. And she recently left her job at Spotify to start a company, startup company called Pillowtalk, which is an amazing app, really good mission, awesome design, and we had a great conversation. So let's get into it. Cool. We're live. Belen, thank you
Hey,
so much for joining.
yeah, of course. Thanks for having me here, Cameron. I'm really psyched to share my story.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I was just telling you before we went live, but I never go on LinkedIn. And about 7 months ago, I had just popped on LinkedIn and I saw a story in my feed of you making an announcement that you're leaving Spotify as a designer, product designer, to start your own company, Pillow Talk. And I just thought that the post was so well written and so human that I was like, I have to talk to her. It seems like such a cool story. So yeah, that's how I originally like came across your name and was super stoked to talk to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you're right. I think so first of all, like I'm gonna give you a little bit of my background and then go
Cool.
on the story of how like made that post and stuff like that. So I've been in corporate for like 12 years or so. I worked for like Pinterest, where I met my co-founder. My latest job was at Spotify, where I led the Spotify Wrapped experience and worked on other projects. But there was something in me that I was just feeling like this like corporate lifestyle was not pushing me that much. And
Mm,
then like with like AI coming into place and all of those people like just like launching things and exploring things, I was like, there was something in me that was like, okay, like this is the time. Like if it's not now, then when? Um, and it was during the period of time where there were a lot of layoffs, especially at Spotify. I remember like that week there were a ton of layoffs, and I was like one of the lucky ones that didn't get laid off. And so then I was like, oh my God, I'm like working full time. I should be grateful. But then like something in me was like, but I don't feel that like, well, uh, working in here, something in me wants something more. And so
mm.
that's when I was like, okay, I gotta quit. To to that story also, through those 2 years, I've developed insomnia and I was really burnt out. And so there was something in me, really, my body telling me, hey, you need to try something new. And that's when I quit. And then I was like, I need to write it was like that was my therapy
Wow.
session of like, let's write this down. And like I wrote that post that you're talking about. Yeah.
That's so cool. Awesome. Yeah, I would love to kind of dive into that transition period. But how did you originally get started in design? What was your kind of entrance into the design world?
Yeah. So it was super weird. It was not on the traditional path. I'm actually originally born and raised in Ecuador,
Hmm.
and where I was a competitive tennis player. Uh,
Oh wow, that's cool.
yeah, it's like top 10. Uh, but my aunt had this agency, and I like was always like really into design and like especially like designing websites too. At the time, I remember that I was like in high school and like you know I had a knack not for building the website itself, but like just designing it. And so there was something there that I was like, okay, there's some like it was in my gut that I was like, oh, this makes me happy. And so at the time, like my dad was my tennis like manager too, so like that relationship got really complicated. I was like, I'm not enjoying tennis anymore. but I'm gonna take advantage so far of all of this training and apply for scholarships. So I like recorded myself and like sent my video to like different coaches, specifically like art schools and stuff like that. And it happened to be that the Academy of Art University was like opening a tennis team. And I was like, yeah, let's go. And so I went to San Francisco and just started working communication design. I starting like, yeah, studying communication design. And from there, yeah, that's how it started.
Wow. So you left Ecuador and went to San Francisco? That was your first US city that you landed in? Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that was
Uh,
my first US city. And like everything was happening at the time in San Francisco too. It was at the time where like, like the tech bubble was a thing. Obviously less than now, but like at a manageable, nice level of product. Like product was like a career was that was developing back then. It was like this was circa like 2000 and like 8 or something like that.
Oh, wow, okay, cool.
So
That's right around the time where things started popping off, or like Facebook and Airbnb and all of those tech companies just were, yeah, spawning off a ton of talent too.
exactly, exactly. And so that really influenced what I was doing and like what I was seeing in San Francisco, right? And so little by little I realized that I wanted to do product design more than really communication design or art direction, even though I dabble in that too. There's something about building products and like seeing it like used by people that it's like so satisfying for me at least.
Yes, I 100% agree. Yeah, there's something, like when you're designing something for someone else and you see that reaction for the first time when they use it or they don't understand something, it's like a puzzle piece, you're trying to figure out like how to make it useful and how to make it valuable and communicate something through the design. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So originally you were in like more like brand communication design?
Yeah, originally I was brand communication design art direction for advertising.
Okay,
And
cool.
so I graduated from that and then moved to New York where I like worked at a bunch of agencies. Ogilvy was one of them. And then I realized that and then there were some clients where like, were coming with like, "Hey, can you like do this like landing page or like website?" And I was like I saw myself gravitating towards that. And so that's when I was like, "Yeah, I want this." It was like a
Yeah.
process. I didn't really know. I was probably influenced by like the tech bubble in San Francisco, yes, but then like it continued, carried on here in New York. And from there, I was like, maybe I'm like just like a sucker for design. Like I really dig design, whether that's like expressed in architecture, interior design, physical product design, in any kind of way. Uh, I really value design, even like fashion, anything. Uh, and so at the time I was like, "Oh, maybe I should do physical product now." And so I wanted to really explore if that was the thing that I wanted to do. So then like I applied to this like master's program at the School of Visual Arts after like working in advertising. I was like, "Hey, uh it's called like products of design," and really intense 1 year. Um, and then I was like, okay, like digital product, maybe that's it. Cause like you can have more impact, I think, building digital products than physical products. So that was
Mhm.
my decision. And then from there, my first job, like working on digital products, was at this experiential design studio called Method.
Okay.
They had an office in San Francisco, one in New York, and one in London. In the New York office, there we were like 6 it's super small, we were 6 designers, and, like, we were building experiences for, like, McDonald's. Back then, we, like, built this, like, app that was universal enough for all of the McDonald's in the world, global McDonald's, like, uh, in everyone in the world to use it with, like, their own menu,
Oh,
their own language, so we had to build a UI that was, like, flexible enough, uh to be and universal enough to be, like, global for everybody to use it. And so
even in German?
even
That's the
in
hard.
German, yeah, those use cases, yeah. Yeah, even in German.
That's awesome. What was some of the learning lessons from that project? That seems so like difficult to design for something so global like that. What were some of the lessons that you learned from that?
Yeah. Well, I think yes. It's something very global. Like one of the lessons though was that whatever you design on that user interface, it has to be reflected in what happens in real life.
Hmm.
Uh, we were designing a lot. Um, we wanted to like speed up like how people like the time that people like purchase like their combos and like their McDonald's products. Um, and so we were trying all of this, like all of these things, all of these modals and like upsells and stuff like that. Uh, but I think the thing that worked the most is to like organize things by like combos because that's how we realized that every single McDonald's has a script. So if you go to the
Mm.
cashier, they have already a design script of how to sell you things, basically.
Oh
So you go
wow.
there, you order the specific like combo, and that's how you're like, that's the script. That's the like universal script for every single McDonald's. And so we basically took that and like develop the user experience based on that script. And that's how like everybody like really followed the brand and the digital plays. And we also design all the kiosks that you see there.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Was that a client through like an agency at the time?
Yeah, that was a
Okay.
client through that agency Method. That was a experiential design studio. Um, yeah, that was a
Nice.
client. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know you have kind of a background in agency world. I saw you used to work for Work and Co, right? It was
Yeah,
uh,
that's right. That's right. I used to work for Work and Call. That was an amazing experience. So, that agency, we have like incredible clients, like Apple was my client, Nike, Gatorade. But like how that works is like the turnaround is like super fast. So you have this like concepting like process, which usually takes you like 1 or 2 weeks, and you gotta like you spin off like a bunch of concepts of apps
mm.
basically. From there, your goal is to sell one concept to the client, and then go and actually go and build it. Um,
Oh wow. So it's like
yeah.
super fast iterations. You're trying to just prototype and design and trying to get some signal into a direction typically.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Super fast iterations, which at the very beginning is overwhelming, but then you get this like pace, and like obviously there's like super talented designers there at Work and Call. So yeah, you get going, and it's enjoy. It's like I love designing. I love it's like
Yeah.
relax. It relaxes me at least. Like it's the best thing. It's like playing, It's paying me to play.
Yeah.
So uh, so yeah, that's great. So yeah, that's how we do it. We like take the concept, bring it to life.
Yeah, yeah. So what's from your experience in working in agencies and working with clients and designing for them versus in-house, what are the big differences there in terms of like culture, in terms of like just design execution, anything that, stands out to you?
100%. That's a great question. So before Spotify and before Work and Co, after like working for Method, the experiential design studio back then, I Pinterest reached out. And
Okay.
that was my first like experience of like, okay, like let's go in-house kind of situation. The cool thing about working in-house is that you meet a more diverse group of people. So that's how I met my co-founder, Cherry.
Oh,
Now,
awesome.
so by working together, and so yeah, it's like you like meet people from like all walks of life, and you work together. However, the speed for me at that point was like, this is too slow. Coming
Yep.
from, I was like, okay, like uh, I need to make things kind of situation.
Yeah,
Uh, and so like, there's this like bureaucratic piece that gets in the way of
totally.
creating, I think that it's kind of dangerous in a way because it puts you like in a state of like, okay, is this gonna like actually see the day of light? You don't know. At least in agency, you like do the handoff and you don't know if it's gonna see the day of light, but you like do the handoff and that's it. On to the next project.
Yeah.
I think in house there are processes that you gotta follow. and you're kind of like pitching in-house all the
Uh-huh.
time to different stakeholders. So beyond the design, you also need to know how to pitch and who to work with in order to make that project come to life actually, right? And like test it and
Absolutely.
get, and so that was a cool learning that I had. Just different way. It's a different way of doing things, but a different process, but
Yeah.
still good.
Are you grateful that you started out in the agency world versus starting out in-house?
Yeah, 100%. I think
Yeah.
for me, starting out on the agency side of things really gave me my craft thing. Because like I was just practicing, and really talking to other designers and like getting like different feedback and critiques. In Work and Co, it was all like critiques, feedback, and
Awesome.
yeah, it was super awesome. So it was like my school, really. That was really great, and so to the point that I was like so fast at doing products. Uh, that's something that I don't think I would have gained or like at like in-house.
Mm.
Just because the processes are so long and you talk to other people and that's fine, but it's just a different kind of skill that you gain in-house.
Yeah, it's more of like a political maneuvering almost, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're designing, but you're also, like you said, like selling and trying to find a stakeholder, trying to convince a stakeholder to do something or, convince a product manager to why this thing is important. It's like a lot
Yeah,
of that, that internal thing that you have to kind of drive, which is an important skill set as well. I'm sure that that's
100%.
helped you in the entrepreneurial
Oh
career.
yeah,
um
100%. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, the speed of agencies, like I missed that. I started out in agency world as well.
Oh, cool.
And so just designing for that speed and just different discipline. You have to wear almost all the
Yep.
hats in agency
Exactly.
world. Brand, a little bit of brand and product, and you're mixing. There's no lines really.
100%.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
100%. It's like you're everything. You're the agency, basically.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. It's really cool too because like you actually focus on design, you know? It's almost like there's
Yes.
no like distractions or interruptions, just focus on design. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's like
100%.
yeah.
So at Pinterest, I'm curious to know just like the general like process there because Pinterest is a pretty high benchmark for UX and product design in general. I think the co-founders were designers, right? Like they're a
Yeah.
design-led kind of company. How was that working in an environment like that had a pretty high standard for design? What was it like? Just kind of going from the agency world into kind of like that product mindset to probably didn't have the time for in the agency world, but you're really trying to drill into, uh, you know, a standard across the product suite. So what was that like?
Yeah. That was actually really good. It was, very Californian. So it's very open. I feel like in an agency there's a hierarchy versus here at Pinterest it was more like there was a lot of like hackathons and like, let's like focus on this problem and like try to solve it kind of
Hmm.
situation and like you like pitch it. You like gotta know who to pitch it to, right? And so I was in this like team, which was I was a product designer within the brand innovation team. So my job was to like build like bridge that gap between brand and like different like product teams or like marketing teams and like build like different experiences uh within the platform and outside of the platform, right? And so I was like really talking to different stakeholders,
Mm.
different engineering teams, different like product teams to really collaborate and like build new experiences. So very collaborative. I also met the founders there. They were very laid back and like even though it was like there were like thousands of employees, I think like they really valued the design team there. And so I still got to like meet Evan Sharp, who now is like my angel investor on my company, for example. So I'm grateful for that
That's
too.
awesome.
Yeah. Uh
Wow. So all the dots connect, throughout the career to,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly, 100%. All the dots connect. He's fantastic. He has a background in architecture. and he's designing for like mindful experiences now. And so I really, really admired him, and he really gets into the design of things. He really values design. And so a founder of a company really valuing design, that like really gives it another level, right? The design team is really
Absolutely.
appreciated. And so I met a lot of really good, talented people like Andreas. He was like the design director at the time, Andreas Helen, and he's from Sweden. He was like this like crack designer that is just really awesome to work with. Um, so like the people that you meet there, yeah, I think that it was incredible. It was the best thing.
That's so cool. Yeah, there's such a difference in a culture that values design.
Uh-huh.
I've been in so many cultures where design wasn't valued, and it's
Yeah,
like a product like product led in a way, but they thought design was kind of like this like afterthought of the
yeah.
requirements, and then that never works out well, for the product, for the users, for the design team. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, being like coming from like a design oriented company versus not. Um,
Yeah, I think 100%. I think coming from like a super focused design agency to like my first experience in house was a little bit of a shock for me because like
mm,
all of a sudden I was like really like working like head to head with PMs, for example, and like it was all about like metrics, which is great. Uh, it was all about like research. It's all about all of this cross-functional partners that you had to work with and like really work with them like through your designs and pitch through your designs, right?
hmm
Uh, so that was a little bit of a cultural shock for me. Um, but once you like I got the feel of it. It was great, you know. Um, yeah. But yeah,
yeah,
I agree with you. I think that's something that I've been very mindful of as a designer. I know that for me it's really important to design, and design is that's like product design is like the heart of any product. If you have an
absolutely,
excellent experience, you know, then users are
absolutely,
gonna love it, especially for consumer products, you know.
yes,
Like there's so many apps out
for
there.
sure.
Like
Yeah. How do you stand out if you don't have good design? Like it's impossible. No?
exactly, exactly. Good user experience, good design, it's, like, really important, in this DNA, especially now with AI, you can make spin products, like, really easily,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think design is what is gonna be that differentiator of like, you know, a product design with AI, without design versus like with design. It's like almost like a superpower in this DNA to be a designer.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I would love your thoughts on just the recent, over the last 6 months to a year with the increase of AI and just how it fits into the design process and how to leverage it. And I would love to dive into that and how you guys are using it in Pillowtalk. Because it is an AI app, right? Like for the most part, it's like a big driver for the experience, which changes how you think about design. I'm sure in your case.
Yeah.
So how did you transition? How did you end up at Spotify? What was that
Yeah. What
like?
was that transition? So Spotify had reached out. I think after Pinterest, I kind of wanted to work for Work and Co. I wanted to have that. I was craving that agency life again. And so I had a
Oh,
couple
cool. So you
interviews.
you worked at Work and Co after Pinterest. So you were in the agency world. You worked at Pinterest, and then you went back to the agency world, but with Work and Co. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, and then I went back, with, like, a massive cut, like, of my paycheck, because like, in-house pays better, of course, but I was like, "You know what?" Like, what I valued in there was, like, design. It's gonna be, like, a boot camp. Like, the designers are incredible, and I'm just gonna be designing, and I need to check out of any bureaucracy at this point. Like, I
Yeah.
just wanna design. That was my that mindset for a little bit, and I knew also that I was gonna have dream clients and dream projects. And so I was like, yeah, that's not bad. Like I can always come back in house, you know?
Sure.
Uh, and so I did it. I met with the founder of Work and Co. Felipe was my first interview right away. Well, my second
Wow.
interview. And he showed me he was doing this app for the MTA. And he like talked about like Massimo Vinelli and like, you know, this
Oh
like
wow.
the New York City train transportation and like how legendary it is in like design and like history of New York. And he showed me the prototype of the app that he was building for the MTA. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is like crazy about design. He lives and breathes design. I want to work with him. And so
That's
that was
amazing.
that was a no-brainer for me.
That's awesome. So how long were you there before you made a transition out?
I was there for a year, but it
Okay.
felt like 3 years. Cause like,
Really?
yeah, in terms of like
The
the
amount of
breadth of
work
the
that you
work.
produced was probably
Exactly.
3 years
Yeah,
worth
yeah,
of work.
not that I loved it. I love being there. It's just in terms of the work that I produced, it was, like, so many spin-offs, like, that I had to, like, be on my toes all the time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That I've always admired them. I think I first heard about them. They were like early adopters into Framer when Framer was like a coding prototyping tool. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh my god, that's wild. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I really like them. They really value design, but they saw it through this like product first perspective.
Yeah.
Which in agencies more like sometimes most of the agencies they say they build product, but it's mostly like brands and like communication design. But they really were really deep into like product.
That's
Yeah,
such a
they were
good
like
principle. I think on their website, one thing that stood out to me was like the prototypes over presentations or something like that. And it was like, yes, like I would rather design a prototype than trying to like sell it to someone, like sell the idea of the prototype to a client versus like putting the prototype in their hands and be like, what do you think of this? Like, how do we make this better? I think
yeah.
that's such a valuable thing to have.
100%. And that was like kind of part of the culture too. Like one of like the rule of thumb there was if you're gonna have a meeting, like usually like we don't like meetings. It was like
Yeah.
one of the things. But if you're gonna have a meeting, bring something, bring a prototype or a design. If there's no prototype, there's no meeting.
That's awesome.
That's the mentality of it.
Yeah.
So you knew that one, the meeting was going to be useful to move this thing forward that you're building. And two, all of the rest of the time, everybody was like just building and making things. Instead of like having all of this humongous like meetings that happen in-house.
Yes.
Uh, and so you're designing, and meeting just when you need to communicate your idea or show your prototype, you know? So that was
Did
like
you
one of
work
the big
hands
things.
on with like an engineer there? Like, kind of what was the dynamic between design and engineering?
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good question. So at Work and Co, yes, we had like the engineering part of it, but it depends. Very depends on like which phase you are in. So for the concepting phase, the engineering team was there, like your lead engineer, trying to like make sure that what we were dreaming was possible.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but we were mostly like really working between the designers and like spinning off different concepts. Um, However, once we were in the execution part of things, that's when we like work uh with the engineers.
Okay.
So yeah,
Awesome. So at Spotify, when you kind of left there, you left Work and Co, and you went to Spotify after that.
yeah,
Awesome.
that's right. So I went to Spotify, and it was specifically the growth team. It was called the Edison team. So what they did, it was a lot of like different like in product new experiences. So they built like it could be a new app. They saw a strategy of a market that they wanted to try out. So it could be like, so we built like, for example, Spotify for kids or Spotify radio. We built a Spotify experience. So our goal was to like bring new markets to Spotify.
Mm.
Uh, and so lots of collaboration, same with different teams. When we saw a need, we were like, okay, let's collaborate with this team to develop this product because it's going to bring X amount of people to the business. And so that was really fun. A lot of collaboration with the marketing team too. So how things work at Spotify is that you have a pod, and so there you work like a mini startup almost, like a mini startup. So you have an engineer, a web engineer, Android, iOS engineer. You have a PM, a researcher, and a design lead. And then from there, you like really like spot a strategy based on like, what the overall company strategy was.
Mm-hmm.
And then just start like building sprints with your cohort first, and then just pitching the idea to other teams. And then, everybody gets excited and it happens.
That's
So
awesome. So the teams are they're pods, they call them. Yeah, they like squads or pods.
like your squad, yeah, it's your
Yeah.
squad. They call it squad. Yeah, your squad.
Okay. So
Yeah.
are for the most part the teams are self-organizing where you're aligned to the company's growth goal, but you can self-organize and however you achieve that goal is basically up to the team. Is that kind of
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's such a good way of working. Like just to structure a company that way. Not very many companies are inherently set up that way. It's like they're almost set up in this like very bureaucratic way intentionally. Where
Mhm,
there's
mhm.
leaders and that has to go up to this leader, and in order to do that you have to talk to this department, and it's just kind of crazy. Like
Yeah. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of experimentation in that team. However, things then later on like changed a little bit more and got more hierarchical, like you were
mhm.
saying. And so then we had like this like, like global director of design like leading this like our like arm of things. And but still it was still experimental. However, the bigger we got, the more hierarchical it got. Let's put
Mm.
it that way. Yeah, yeah.
What year did you join?
It was around like 2021 or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. So this is
yeah,
like COVID, end of COVID era.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. COVID, end of COVID era. Yeah, that was
So you were in New York during COVID. That was pretty wild times, right?
pretty well time. So I moved. So I joined Working Co in 2020, but I had the job already secure in 2019.
Okay.
And so I was gonna start in like February, March, and the pandemic really like came to the US, and I was like, "Whoa." And the the main key point was New York.
Yeah.
Everything was happening in New
I
York,
know.
developing in New York. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, do I go to New York right now, or do I go and like work remotely uh yeah, from somewhere else in the US?" But
Yeah.
like at that point, remote work was not a thing. And so, the founders were like, "No, everything's gonna pass like in 2 weeks, like it'll be
Yeah.
okay."
Right.
And I was like, "All right, I guess I'm taking this like airplane." But then like in New York, everybody was like really like hoarding their like apartments because nobody knew what was gonna happen. And so
Yeah.
everyone was like extending their leases. Luckily, Work and Co gave me an apartment, and I was
Oh,
like,
cool.
okay, I can look for places, I guess. But it was wild.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was in Florida during that time. Like I live in St. Pete, and I think it closed down for like a week, and then everything on the news was about New York, and Florida just reopened everything. So we didn't feel it as much as people who lived in New York, I think. But yeah, it was still kind of crazy. That was a big shift though in like remote work and people, getting out of the office, and just culturally, I think it changed how we work.
100%. Yeah.
Um, did you experience that at the time? Like, so you were 100%
Oh,
remote? Yeah.
100%. Especially like joining a new company. It was
Yeah.
pretty alien for me to not be part of the culture from the start, because that was a whole thing of like going back to in-house. It was to just hang out with designers.
Yeah.
I just love designers, and I love like geeking out and like talk. I love to talk about design. And so it's like a cultural, if you go to an agency, it's for the culture too. Um, but then like the pandemic was really weird because you didn't get to like meet everybody. So it was like only people on your project. So, but still, it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I still work remote now, and there is, there's something missing in that. I mean, I don't like our company at Paramount just announced that everyone's going to go back to the office,
Oh
and
well.
it's like it's like two different phases. Like the people who were originally assigned to an office have to go back to the office. There's one in New
Mm,
York and in LA, and but I was hired as a a remote worker, so they're going to push that phase out to later,
okay.
like later next year. But everyone's in that kind of dilemma now. It's like, okay, well, going back to the office 100% of the time, like, doesn't really make sense either. I think every single company is trying to figure out what that balance looks like, because there is something very like um good about working, in person with people. There's just a different vibe and, a different energy when you're in the room and like bouncing ideas off of each other, versus working remote. Some of that
Yeah.
is lacking. What's your situation now? Like, how do you, what does it look like on your day to day now?
My situation now is great. Work with my co-founder, and I'm like designing and experimenting all the time, and we're just like ideas together. She builds them right away, and we test them, which is really good. I don't have
That's
to pitch
awesome.
anything to anybody. So it's like it's more like a co-creation kind of like process
Nice.
with my
So are you
founder.
in person in the same office typically, or are
Yeah,
you
we're in the
remote?
same office, so
Okay.
we started like working from my apartment. And that was like, okay, let's work together from my apartment. And now that we got some backing from Collaborate Fund, we're working in like their office from actually Fictive Kin as part of this like air residency that we're on.
Okay.
Uh and we're working from like the Fictive Kin office right now in Brooklyn. And so that's been really cool too. There's a lot of designers. They're like backing a lot of like designers who are building products between the intersection of AI and culture and consumer products specifically. And
Nice.
so it's really fun to meet designers who are entrepreneurs who are trying to like make it happen,
Mm.
just experimenting. That's like really, really cool to see more of that,
That's
you know?
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm sure that energy kind of breeds your own energy too. Like when you see other people, like with sometimes even working in a coffee shop and you're
Yeah.
around other people, there's an energy there that people are just like working and kind of fuels you to do the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about what are you building? Oh, this is so cool. Now I need to build something cool too. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about like design appreciation and like just curiosity, like going back to like what brought me into design, which was like making things that are inspiring and that I want to like use, and build also. Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit at the beginning, like when I first saw your LinkedIn post about that transition and leaving that company. What was the build up? Like, how long were you thinking about, leaving Spotify at the time, and thinking about your own endeavor? Did you try other side projects before you leapt into it, or what was the kind of transition point into it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, 100%. I was working on side projects with my co-founder. I actually built this like kind of like AI generative project, which was like, you could, sing and then you like generate different like kind of like songs and stuff like that. It was called 1111. So we just built it as a weekend side project, and then we submitted it to Y Combinator, and we got an interview with Gary Tan from Y Combinator from
Oh
that
wow.
project. And it was just a weekend project. And so we were like, okay, cool. Like, I think we can do that. Was like a little like, I think we might be able to do this entrepreneurial stuff. But then
Confidence
I was like,
booster.
yeah, definitely confidence booster. I feel like that's what you kind of need. Cause like I was getting used to that like corporate lifestyle, but then something in me, I was like, I kind of want to do more. So I started working on side projects with my co-founder now. And then we also built this like, and then I was like, okay, I have insomnia. My body is telling me something. I'm already a little bit like burnout from working for 12 years in corporate. I
Hmm.
just need to pull the plug. This was like something that was in my mind for like a year. I'm not even kidding. Cause like,
Wow.
you get that nice cushy life of like, you have that idea of security, right?
Uh,
Then you don't know what's going to happen later on. Like, that year was like a lot of layoffs. And so I was like, okay. So I was okay, should I stay or should I go? And then I was like, okay, let's pull one day I was like, I'm tired of this. These layoffs are happening and I can stay and wish for the best, or I can just quit and start my own thing. If it's
That's
not now,
amazing.
then when, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, yeah, you're so right. I think, it feels secure, in the moment because you're getting that, consistent paycheck. I think, I heard a
Yeah.
quote one time. I forget who it was, but they said the two most addicting things in the world is heroin and a consistent paycheck. It's like,
Yeah. 100%. Yes. Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's like, it feels comfortable. Your fate is in someone else's hands. There could be a round of layoff, and then all of a sudden you're in the job pool, and the job pool is insane right now.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
designers trying to find jobs is crazy. Like, in my past company, we posted for a job posting for just a senior product designer, and we got
Yeah.
like 2,500 applicants. It's like,
Whoa.
how do you even parse
That's
through
insane.
that? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so crazy to even like begin to see that kind of like competitive job pool. I don't even know how you even break into them to it anymore. So
Yeah.
nothing is secure, to your point. I think that's so spot on. um
100%. Yeah. I think, yeah, what I thought it was like, at least I have like, not, I wouldn't say control of my life because, like, in a startup, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I just wanted to take a break and see and give myself a chance. As a designer, something that's really great is that we get to build the future of things. We
yes.
don't we don't only imagine, but we build it. So
Yeah.
I was like, if you can build anything, let's just try it. And I
Yeah.
had like this amazing like co-founder. At the time she was not 100% with me, but then I convinced her to like go on like full time with me. Uh but still, what an amazing thing to build things in like the best time of your life, where like with AI, you can build anything you want, like test any prototype you want, build any waitlist you want just by like showing a prototype. I think that's like the greatest opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Just build whatever's
100%.
in your brain.
Walk me. So what tools are you? What's the method for design right now for you? Like, what tools are you using? How's your design process changed with AI? Which ones are you using right now?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So definitely to like build like quick like user flows and stuff like that. I use um I use Figma. Uh but I've like started using Figma Make now too to like prototype different things and just like build things with the AI really
Mm-hmm.
quickly. Uh in terms of like building different things, my friends from here they are launching Fuser. I'm part of like their beta. So it's kind of like Flora, but like for
Okay.
more like artistic. They really got it.
What's it
Fuser.
called?
It's called Fuser.
Fuser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So it's like you build different things based on like nodes. So you like prompt the AI basically, and then you can like change the style, change anything you want. And like
Oh
you can do
wow.
like animations, you can do, stills, anything you want. So that's a very powerful tool that they're building and they're pretty cool. Uh and so that's really my process so far. And then like really, collaborating with Runway ML too, for
Oh
videos. If I
yeah.
wanted to like include them on the prototype, I do that.
That's
Um
awesome. So your design process within Figma and Figma Make, I haven't used Figma Make too much. Mainly I've used like Bolt or Lovable.
yeah.
And I still think that there's a disconnect between the design
Yeah.
and AI's output of that.
Yeah.
How have you thought about bridging that gap a little bit more?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a disconnect between that. I think it's like really good for like quick prototypes for me. But
Yes.
then like I do think that at this stage, I'm better off like as a designer on Figma. Like I can
Yeah.
build it quickly.
Uh-huh.
It's like quicker to build it there. Uh, so I
Yep.
think for like designers themselves, like us, who are like more senior, I think we're faster like building it ourselves than AI. But I think though, like Figma Make, it's cool because like you get to code a little bit and like
Yeah.
it gives you like the code and stuff like that. So that's like really nice. Uh, you get to prototype faster, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely that speed of execution is where it excels. You can generate a ton of ideas very fast. But yeah, like it definitely helps to have at least an engineering partner to help you
Exactly.
kind
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
it's Yeah,
Yeah.
because we were using Cursor, and
Oh
one
yeah.
of our designers was like, "This code is still shit. It's like not that good. It's not production ready. It's good to make something, and build it, but it's still not something that you can just like inject into an application and expect it to work yet.
Yeah.
It
A
it,
hundred
it will get
percent.
there, but it's I think
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
timing.
100%, like, Cursor is really great if you wanna, like, to learn something on the go too. You, like, use Cursor and then, like, I do go into, like, ChatGPT, for example,
Yep.
or, like, Claude to, like, really figure out what is this code happening, what's happening in here. There's, like, this, like, process that you follow, which is, like, Cursor and then figuring out, "Okay, what does this mean?"
hmm
situation to build. Yeah, I use Cursor here and there too, but definitely it's not production ready. So, uh,
Yeah, it's just a matter of time, though. I mean, we're just like it feels like the early internet right now. It's
oh,
like, you know.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. Now, like, yeah, you just need to like get yourself into like the basic knowledge of coding really and
Yes.
just explore. It's easier to learn, I
A
think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The learning
Yeah.
curve is so much better, like, you just like, everything is at your fingertips now, like, in the past company, we hired a designer from Stack Overflow, and they're,
Yeah.
like, out of a job, pretty much because it's like no one's using Stack
Yeah. Oh
Overflow in that
no.
way that they used to anymore, they're just
Yeah.
asking ChatGPT. So,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
interesting
Yeah.
how the whole thing is changing so fast. Oh yeah. So one of the big topics I was really excited to talk to you about was like on the concept of like a side project, right? I think a lot of designers have their own ideas. Like I've been thinking about ideas for as long as I can remember, and that execution piece of taking something and leaping it forward is difficult if you can't identify with the user. There's like ideas, and we can execute on the ideas. That's why I think sometimes it's easier to design for someone else than it is to design for yourself.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so your story of like you've identified this problem that you wanted to solve as a user. Can you talk about that, like that inspiration? I think that's so important, that you're able to take a leap on something that you find personal experience to that problem. You're connected to the problem and you want to solve it. How did you discover that with Pillow Talk, like from your own
Yeah,
experience?
totally. I agree with you. I think it really depends on like what you want to build, but so first of all, like I built it as a need because I needed to empty my head before bed. So I stopped ruminating. Like therapists recommended I do constructive journaling, but then I was like, anything.
Yeah.
I've never been a big journaler. And so I was like, let's build something that is seamless. And I thought that voice was the main interface that's gonna help me actually journal. And so I was like, there's something here. I want like just a voice first journal because in reality, what I think is like the best interface is not interface.
Yeah.
And so that made it possible for me to interact with the app and just have the script there. And then we added the pattern layers, which was helpful to see an overview of everything that I was journaling and my progress of who I was becoming and like really that self-awareness of my mind and how I was thinking about things, which was
hmm
really, really helpful in terms of my healing. And then like the AI layer component of like matching the patterns and like letting you know what you're excelling at and like giving you that pat in the back. that was really nice for those moments where I was feeling like I wasn't able to sleep, for example, which is wild because everybody has like a sleep drive. So, but that association of things like really helped me to change my perspective in those times and like ground myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so that's when I was like, okay, there is something here for other people. And so I started sharing it with friends in a private beta. But at the very beginning, I didn't want to make it into a project because it was like too close to what I was going through
Mm,
then. So I was
mhm.
like, I wasn't thinking at all of a business with Pillow Talk.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I was like, I can't do this. I was like, this is too personal for me.
You
And
were just initially trying to solve your own problem with it?
yeah,
Oh, that's
initially it
so
was
cool.
just to like really just for me, I was like, really, I need this kind of situation. And then in fact, when I quit Spotify, that was not the first project we explored. That was happening, right? That journal in the back, but I didn't wanna like make it the whole like project. In fact, we built this for fun. The Apple Vision Pro came out uh, then. And so I remember seeing this need, like everybody was like the Apple Vision Pro was like so isolated. Like I remember wanting to see who else was in the Apple Vision Pro, who was the community there. And so we built with Cherry, we built this whole like world. It was called like pool view. So it's like it was a pool where you can meet other like people in like the Apple Vision Pro. Just like go hang with tracks and stuff like that. So it's like a
Nice. You
version of
built it
like
natively in the
yeah,
Vision
yeah,
OS? Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So it was like it was a version of like Twitter, but like more with more vibes. There was like tunes, there was music in there, and then like I posted it on Reddit, and we had a lot of users. But then like my users there were like so wildly like, where is the poll? Like we want it interactive. Like they were like asking me for all these features, but where is the poll? And I was like, no. And so then I had to like learn Blender and like build a freaking pool for everybody. And then they kept like asking for more things. And it was like, but in a way that was like, is this really a need? Or is just like, you're just like hanging out with the Apple Vision Pro. Like, we can't do this. This is like people need therapy. How they're asking
Yeah.
things. I don't want this. And so that's when I realized that I didn't want to like serve or like have that like audience or like build for that audience. So I think that was like an important part of the process. And then Cherry like taught herself like iOS then because we built it natively. So then from there, this whole like app Pillowtalk kept like growing with users, and I was like, "All right, like this is a sign." And then I like convinced my current co-founder. I was like, "Hey, we're growing. Like we're in a private beta. We have 400 users. Let's just like give it a shot." And she was like, "Okay, let's do it." So she quit her job too, and now
Wow.
we went full in on that.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah,
What was the kind of the initial hurdle that you had to overcome to get like the startup funds for that? Was there kind of any like self-funding that you originally did? Like what was the kind of starting point there? Cool. Yeah, sorry about that. A little
yeah,
technical difficulty, but
no worries. Yeah.
um yeah, where do we leave off?
So you were asking me if I went all in
Oh yeah,
with
the startup. Like what was that initial your co-founder's name is Sherry?
yeah, Sherry Hardigan. She's
Okay.
awesome. So I was like, look, we can like spend months like trying to fundraise and we have no connections to VC right now. I've heard that the process is like such a hurdle and I was like, we have this superpower where you're a developer and I'm a designer. Let's build something. So let's spin off something. So that's how we started to like experiment with things. And like in the past, we've worked together in projects. So we were all about like building things. And like at this point, it was more about like, let's just play around with things and see and have fun. And let's do it. We did it with our savings, but we're like, yeah, we're like, let's just have fun. Things will like turn around and like come. Like we weren't like really worrying about making a business yet. It was more part of like our play, like my play of like healing too, in terms of like just like doing the things that I wanted to do basically without any like business rules in a way.
Yeah.
And so just Yeah, having fun again
That's
as a
so that's so inspiring. Like just to take a leap like that and push it forward. And so what stage are you at now? Like what's the next kind of vision look like for you guys? Like what do you grow into next?
Yeah, so we built that prototype. We got our wait list of 30,000 people, and we launched it on May. And now Collaborate Fund was like our pre-seed fund, but we had a product. And so right now we're building Pillowtalk as a place for you to like decompress and like really get to know yourself better. What I'm really excited about is this like multiplayer AI, where like AI is a multiplayer in terms of like pattern making and like pattern matching with people who are in the same boat as you are. So really helping people, bringing people together, helping people connect better in a way that it's like not performative. Uh, and so that's where like Pillow Talk is evolving toward like this like emotional like OS, this emotional operating system where like it really gets to know you in like a private way because we're private. But also from there, you can also, we've seen that a lot of people from my interviews with users, which is amazing also as a founder to interview like people, as a designer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been learning that a lot of people use it for like relationship management. Like,
Interesting.
especially younger generations is like, how do I talk to my dad? How do I talk to my mom? How do I make friends? And it's all about that. We also have this thing where like we like give you like your compatibility, but also through relational psychology, we've like team up with a psychologist for all of these insights and stuff like that. uh, we give you the vocabulary of like the relationship that you're going through. If it's like a toxic relationship, if like they're like wall stunning you, uh, if they're like gaslighting you, or if it's like a really positive thing that you can keep going and how to like cultivate your relationship. And so, uh, there's really this like hunger for connection, with other people. And it's funny in a way that we're using technology to connect to other people. So the idea here is how can we like help people learn what a healthy relationship is, not only with yourself, but also with others. And I
Mm,
think in the future, we're not going to meet in a dating site, or like relationships also are evolving in different ways that I think we're going to put AI to do what it's best at. And that's pattern recognition and
for
pattern match.
sure.
And so like really helping you out to, bring the best out of yourself, but like other people around you, and like, have the best relationships in your life IRL,
Yeah.
you know?
That's so awesome. I think that's such a valuable thing. I mean, just like you mentioned, like it almost can like help you. It knows about you, so you can pull up the history of how you're thinking about it. Everybody gets stuck in loops, I think, mentally.
Yeah.
It's like the stories that we tell ourselves um over and over and over again. We need objective feedback to like
Yeah.
correct that sometimes, you know?
a
Um
percent. Yeah. Yeah. It's really great to see that from like a different perspective also. It's like if you vocalize that, uh in a way you get this like level of self-awareness. Oh, this is how I'm talking about this problem. And then like
yeah.
seeing it on a transfer, you see it. And then like the AI telling you the insights, then there's like a different perspective. So you like really like kind of like putting the work like the dots together of like that cosmos or universe that you're creating on Pillow Talk.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the design, just the
Thank you.
branding and the UI. I saw you guys featured on Mobin, and I was like, oh, that's awesome that you got a feature there, and all the designs are up there. So what's how's the design process for you change? Are you wearing all the design hats at the company as well right now?
We're a team of two.
Yeah,
So I think that's why now we're gonna go like fundraise a bigger round to actually hire a couple designers too, because I think that's something that I really valued from working at companies that really value design. It's like the founders who were designers and really value design, like that was the best culture that I was in. So I want to as a consumer product, design is like one of the most important things, and I want to honor that. And so, yeah, I think we
That's
need more designers, and yeah, making the future happen.
that's incredible. Yeah. How you mentioned earlier, the quote you said was the best interface is like the lack of an interface or no interface.
Yeah.
How do you think about that in terms of like designing a product that is using voice in the interface is such a heavy it's like the central hero of an experience. Like how do you think about that? And like how do you change your design process based on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Uh yeah, that's a good question. Cuz like usually in apps, what you see when you just open an app is, content.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's important especially in this attention economy. Like, but I think I had multiple pillars, design pillars, when designing Pillowtalk because I was going through that moment of like, one, I don't want any notifications or any interruptions. This is about a self reflection and a reflection of what I'm thinking. I want my purest thoughts, just as they are in the app. And so, two, I want like a feeling of like calm when I land on the landing page.
Mm.
And like the third thing was like, what are the things that inspire me to actually self reflect and give me that mood? And that was a lot of like, I really love art and like going to museums and like immersive experiences. So, like, big fan, for example, of like James Turrell. That was one of the artists that the app was inspired on.
Oh,
And so it's
cool.
this element of like light and color and how it plays as like an interaction itself. So if you like tap the Yap feature, for example, which is the one where you're like speaking with the AI, all of a sudden it becomes like with this like ripple effect of colors, kind of you were in a James Turrell exhibition when you talk. And then he like color is a main cue of like, okay, like you're talking versus the AI is talking. So really playing out of that color and light. We also like I was very careful to like design for widescreen. So if you open
Right.
the app where I'm avoiding that blue light because like I was conscious of like melatonin production. I didn't want to cut anybody's cycle in melatonin production. So all of the colors are warm and like really and like dark. And the reason is that's the reason why. Because a lot
Oh,
of people
wow.
night and I used it at night. And like part of like good like sleeping hygiene is to cut your devices and in this DNA
Yes, for
it's
sure.
impossible. But it's like how can you
Absolutely.
make it easier for people to do so?
Yeah, I even have like the red tinted glasses to try to block out all the blue light.
Exactly, it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So like using it, how do you think about like forming habits in the product itself? Like what have you kind of found that because for myself, like I've been using ChatGPT almost like that as well, is like using it like to think through certain things. I'm like, here's a problem, and or I'll ask it like based on what you know of me, like
Yeah.
it's like you can pull back that kind of like history. How do you think about like forming like consistent user habits in the product?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think once you start like building that memory within our product, you can ask the AI, uh, same here. What's my history with this problem? Or like while you're talking, it brings up things from the past. It's like, like you actually overcome this. Like remember the time that you were X and X. So that's like nice, or like the sense of like memory
Positive reinforcement,
time
yeah.
reinforcement. That's one. Then the second thing is the insights, which is like the overall insights of multiple entries that you have. And then you get those every time that you have three entries, you get your insight of how like how you're talking to yourself, but like the things that you're developing, your thoughts and like your wins, for example. If you've been talking about a person, like your relationship, how is that relationship growing and how is that relationship evolving? If you're talking about your dreams, it's like we've like done a lot of like fine tuning for like Freudian dream analysis. How's like your subconscious really affecting your like conscious life and like it like pulls all of
Oh,
the
wow.
patterns that
That's
you've
cool.
taught from your day life, you know? So that's really cool to see you like get some like themes that's like, whoa, I didn't know I was thinking about this. Uh,
Wha-
and so that unlock, it's really nice. It's really great to see. So unlocking the insights is one, like different loops for that. Then we've done like streaks too. We try to like tone it down with notifications because we don't want to be annoying or anything like that. And it's a space for like mindfulness what we're
Uh-huh.
building. But we still, if we have notifications, we try to be helpful, whether that's like letting you know about a new pattern or like something about yourself or like a new like inspirational like quote based on like what you're going through. So yeah, just like trying to like be helpful really.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is such a inspiring product, like to unpack more about ourselves. Yeah, that's so cool. I love the story. Thank you so much for your time. We can like take so many learning lessons from this, I think. Is there anything that you would want people to know or I'll definitely point all the links to so people can check out the app and explore it for themselves. Is there any kind of parting kind of learning lessons for if you were to speak to yourself before you made the leap into entrepreneurship? Like, what would you say?
Just give it a try. You never know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, and, every time that you have that like gut feeling and like in your mind, just like think about it. If it's not now, then when? Right?
absolutely.
Give yourself a shot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. This was great. I'll definitely text you if I'm ever in New York. We have an
Yeah.
office up there. Yeah, I would love to grab a coffee or something sometime.
Yeah. Let's hang. Yeah. Thank you
Awesome.
for everything, Cam. It was
Yeah,
so amazing to talk.
for
And
sure.
yeah, thanks for
Aw-
having me.
Awesome. Well, maybe we'll do a part two and then do a deep dive into some of the design philosophy. We'll
Yeah.
get into the
Totally.
micro details.
Yeah. Let me know. I'm
Cool.
down.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good. Have a good night.